my friends, and welcome to the Limitless Outdoors podcast brought to you by Eberlestock. Today, we are wrapping up our 4-part series on prepping and planning and executing a DIY moose hunt in Alaska. And as we conclude this in part 4, what we're going to be talking about today is how do we get this 1,000-pound chunk of meat and antler out of the most remote reaches of God's creation and bring it back to our home, wherever that may be. Yep. For us, it's Idaho. For you, it could be somewhere else. And
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania,
whatever.
And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. We want to answer just a couple of logistics questions. It's changed a lot over the years. And so we want to try and help you understand what you need to do and be prepared for to get the moose from the field all the way back to your table.
Okay. So first of all, you said this 1,000-pound meat and antler. We never even talked about how much the antlers weighed. Oh, yeah. So how much do those antlers weigh? I mean, because I'm looking at one sitting right over there, and that's mighty big, and it's sitting next to a monster mule deer.
Well, we'll put it this way. So, I know of moose paddles that have been found that are in the mid 30-pound range each. So two 35-pound paddles comes out to a 70-pound head. That's not even
plus the head. Plus the skull.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Yeah, plus the skull and everything.
Yeah, with brain
and then the hide has to be tremendously huge.
Yeah. We don't mount our bulls, so we don't
weight. The weight on my head I think was like 74 pounds the other day.
Wow.
Yeah. After it was cleaned.
Yeah.
So I mean, just that gives you a feel.
So we're looking at 1,100 pounds.
It took so much for like Adam's bull a couple of years ago. It took so much for him to even try and hold that up. When you literally can't hold these things out away from you when you pick them up.
You have to rest them on your body.
Your arms are shaking.
Yeah, you're like on a knee or all the way against your body. You can't hold these things out. They're insanely heavy.
Awesome. So the claim that you guys are sitting way back behind the animal as you're trying to show off your antlers, that's totally that's not even humanly possible.
Well, not with moose. Not with moose. No. Maybe some deer. You get back behind them, they look magnum.
Yeah.
But it's real, right?
Yeah.
So
wow.
You're moving a lot of,
and that's a lot. And so
weight.
And people are. I mean, you've got if they flew in on if that air taxi had a Super Cub, or they had what was that other one that you had? The other
206.
A 206. Yeah. So they have a 206, or they got a Super Cub, and they can only take so much meat.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple of 200-pound men.
So if you're in a Super Cub, you got a pilot that's just doing laps out there trying to get everything out of the backcountry.
Yeah,
it's insane. In a 206, you can get everything in one load. But so a couple big things when we talk about getting meat back that are really easy to overlook. The first one is getting it from the field. We talked about packing a little bit last time. Yeah. But getting it from the field, so we're getting it from our base camp back to wherever we're out of. So like where our air taxi guy is. The first big thing there is having a conversation before you go out with that guy about what you're going to do with that meat. And there's a couple options there, but when that meat is transferred from you back to his place, there's an important piece of paper. You have to have a transfer of possession.
What do you mean
form.
by back to his place?
So you're out at your base camp. That moose has to go somewhere when he flies it back out. He can't just dump it out on the side of the road, right?
Okay,
so you need to make sure that he has facilities or whatever. If you're out there and continuing on hunting, because a lot of times, he'll kill a moose or I'll kill a moose, and we keep hunting.
Okay, and so then he'll actually grab the meat and take it.
Our air taxi guy, he actually has a walk-in cooler set up built in for storing meat. A lot of the guys do, but some may not. You may have to they probably have other arrangements for it. So
just make sure of that. But so you got to have a transfer possession form. Okay. And so you're out in the middle of nowhere, you don't think about having those things. They usually come with a lot of the Alaskan game bags. You'll have a transfer possession form, and there's also one in the regulations as well.
The Alaskan game bags, you're talking about those game bags that you were...
Literally, they're called Alaskan game bags.
So on the back of the label, they have a transfer of possession form. Yep. So,
And so you write down your license number, what you're transferring, meat, antlers.
Do you know if the caribou bags do that too?
I don't know.
We don't know that.
Yeah. But it's an easy form to get a hold of. But you want to fill that out. So you need a pen with you again. When you're
bring
hunting.
that pen.
Bring a pen.
Make sure you got a pen and just fill that out, and it goes with the meat. That's pretty simple.
I mean, if you got a knife, you could just sign it in blood.
Exactly. But making sure you have kind of an idea ahead of time. So some guys try and bring the whole moose home with them. This is a possibility. It costs quite a bit of money to get the moose home. How we do it is we donate a good portion of our meat, and then we bring a couple 100 pounds home each. And I want to talk a little bit about that donation process because I've taken some flack for that over the years. So one of the things that people don't realize is the lack, especially out where we're hunting in some of the smaller villages in Western Alaska. It's hard to get meat there. You think meat's expensive in your grocery store? It's way more expensive up there. Yeah. And so getting meat is a hard thing. And then harvesting the moose, there's a lot of older people in the community that don't have the ability to go out. There's a lot of poverty in these communities for getting the moose meat. And I don't want to sit here and sound like this kind of like knight in shining armor here, but there's a reality that there's a huge need that is met annually by the people that are coming out to hunt moose. And most hunters will donate a portion of their moose to these people. Yep. And the beauty of that, I'll tell you my first experience that was so powerful and profound. We gave away one of our moose, and these people come to get it, and you help them load it up and everything. And this one guy was crying. He and his wife were crying because they hadn't had moose meat in years. They were an older couple, weren't able to get out there and hunt. Their kids weren't around to go and hunt for them. Nobody's just giving out meat, right? And so it was a profound experience for me to see how grateful they were. Like they can't give away moose. They can't get moose fast enough to give it away.
It's just funny to me because, like they live there.
So that's what most people can't wrap their mind around.
The other thing is that there aren't actually that many moose right up against town right there. Mm-hmm. Like there's a lot of places there that don't have a ton of moose immediately there. So unless you have a plane or a boat, a lot of these people don't have access to where a lot of moose are.
So they may live in Alaska, but even though they live in Alaska, it doesn't mean that they're getting a moose.
Yeah, so they still have to do fish, but not much from
Think about it this way. The air taxi costs that it costs us to go out is what it would cost them to go out. And so imagine it more like this, you being in Pennsylvania, if deer weren't around you and you really love deer meat, but it cost you $5,000 to go get a deer. And all of a sudden somebody brought deer meat back to town and you couldn't get one. How excited would you be if somebody said, hey, you want half my deer?
Right.
Yeah. You'd be like, oh, I love deer meat. Right. And moose is an incredible meat.
Well, that was like when I first started hunting and we were living in Georgia at the time and I was terrible. Like I was abysmal as a hunter. And I started hunting for the purpose of being able to like take care of my family. Like I had a wife and she had, we had a wife and child and we had another baby, and we're like, okay, I need to provide for my family and get this squared away. And, I like for the first couple of years, I didn't get a thing. I was, like I'm hunting. I'm trying to figure it out. I didn't grow up hunting. I didn't have anybody like teaching me what to do or anything. So like I was awful. And my neighbor comes over and he was kind of a jerk, but he was like, even being not a nice person, he comes over and he's like, I killed a couple of doe. Do you want them? And I mean, we were so grateful.
Yeah,
we were so grateful. I mean, just and I can imagine. And we were like, because we were like sitting, like trying to figure out our budget. And we're like looking through like the couch cushions for like nickels and stuff, so that we can, and so like to have, somebody actually just, bring a deer. So I actually know that feeling.
Yeah. And the need is real. The need's real everywhere. It's down here, so at our church, I'm the pastor at a church here, and we give away just at our church between Colton and I, we give away over 1,000 pounds of elk and deer a year at the church. And I'm not joking. We'll bring it in on a Sunday. We'll let everybody know it's gone in minutes.
Yeah. Literally cleared out.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like, I used to do evangelism down in Miami, and we used to have like a homeless ministry where we give away food, and the homeless down there, they would like scoff at the food that we brought. Like it was amazing. Like they had so much food in the city. They had so much food. They didn't know what it was like, and they don't realize and so to actually see people that are super grateful for the food that you bring, it's really like it really is meaningful. And there are people like that. There's so much poverty and starvation here in the United States. We're trying to help out all these other countries, and we don't realize what's here.
Yeah. Well, and the diet that some of these people are eating, like I experience it. We do a lot of ministry within the church in that vein. And there's a lot of people that don't get to eat meat, or the meat that they do get to eat is just total garbage. There's a lot of people living on disability. And your rent is $400 in low income housing. The disability check is generally around $850. So you have a $400 budget to live off of.
And Social Security doesn't necessarily do much for you anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, it's an amazing
inflation
thing.
on that and you're done for.
Exactly.
So I don't say that to justify just like, you just go kill stuff and just give it away. There is such an awesome need that is met by hunters on so many different levels. And it's a really cool thing. So when you talk about 1,000-pound animal, 1,000 pounds is a lot of meat, and our family's not going to eat 1,000 pounds, but we do eat a couple 100 pounds of moose meat. And so we bring that back. We bring back the memories, and we're also able to contribute in that way. And so that's a good way to, and I think financially, it's a smart move too. So it's like it's blessings all around for everybody, and it's so welcomed. It's not. It's not like a degrading thing. It's just so welcomed, and people are excited to get the meat. And so that's when we talk about creating a strategy for this hunt, I want to know how much meat I'm going to bring home, because that's going to dictate what I bring with me. So we bring freezer bags with us that we can load with 100 pounds of meat.
Okay.
Each.
So hold on. So freezer bags. What do you mean? Like what size freezer bags?
We bring like a giant dry bag. So we run like a
so you're not
65 to 7,000 cubic inch dry bag.
Okay. So you're not talking about Ziploc bags.
That's a good delineation.
So where would you get these types of bags?
Eberlestock makes some great dry bags that we use. We load those things up, freeze all the meat, and then pack it in there.
Okay, so they find it on Eberlestock.
So let's talk. Let's talk about that a little bit. So we bring that. We talk about the proxy statement. We get that meat back. Then he flies us out. We have cold storage there. We get there. All of our meat's hanging, and we cut what we want to off of the meat, and then we donate the rest. And what we do is we set up. He's got a vacuum sealer, and so we set up assembly line, and we sit there and we chop the meat up
in Alaska.
In Alaska, put it in bags, and we freeze it. And then when we're ready to fly out, we figure out 200 pounds of meat, put it in the bags, take it. And the reason why it's 200 pounds of meat is because up to 100 pounds or 99 pounds, it's an overweight charge for your baggage.
But it's $100.
But it's $100. Anywhere between like 50 pounds and 100 pounds, it's all the same.
Yeah.
So it's $100 for 100 pounds. Think about it that way to get it all the way home.
Okay.
$100 for 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's $1 a pound.
Yeah.
So we bring home 200 pounds. It's $200, $1 a pound. For your meat that you're bringing home, right? And so you could bring more back depending on what you want to do. You could load up 7 bags. I don't know. I can't tell you off the top of my head if the airlines would charge you more when you get too many bags.
Yeah.
There might be some substantial.
After
I think
if
you
3.
Could do some like freight or something. You can have it, freight shipped.
Yeah. The biggest thing would be storage up there, because the air freight, it takes a while for it to get out, typically. So like our moose, how long did we wait for a moose this year?
Yeah, you don't want
4 or 5 months.
So if you're hold on, so you said that you coordinate, you do like 15 days for the hunt. Okay. So now looking at your schedule, you got 15 days for a hunt. You've got 11 days is in your, when the tags are, when your season is, and then how long does it take for you to actually like pack? I mean, it seems like this is
that's quick. Yeah. So we get out. I mean, it's work. Like what you don't realize about these hunts, and maybe some people do, but you're working the whole time. It is not the most restful thing you've ever done. And so, we're packing these things. Typically, we spend about 2-3 hours probably chopping and packaging and freezing.
Okay.
And then we load all that up.
Just 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's a simple way to get it back. You're always out of the villages. Right now, there used to be a bunch of different airlines. It's all Alaska Airlines right now, which has actually made it awesome for getting stuff back.
Yeah.
So that has changed. It used to be that you had to go through an expediter to get your antlers back home, or ship them air cargo or whatever. But now, so we've got the meat side of things, but then there's the antler side of things. How do you prep this head to get it home?
Yeah.
So you can literally now package it up and check it as checked baggage. Costs $100.
The head?
The head.
And it's not always guaranteed that your checked head will get on that flight. A lot of times they do 1 head per flight. So if you're there early, they'll do it.
So they're used to this.
Yeah.
Are you flying out of like Alaska Airlines? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but they typically do they do 1 head per flight, unless there's a lot of extra room. Then they'll throw a couple heads in there. The first time that we did it through Alaska Airlines, we put all of our heads on and they just came home.
So we picked them all up the same day. We flew directly home, moose heads off the plane with us.
It was awesome. Absolutely awesome. But Yeah, there can be some delay, and you might have to run back down to your airport, wherever that may be. For us, it's Spokane, so we run back down and pick it up a day, 2 days, 3 days later.
Aren't you worried about like the head breaking?
No.
You know, I mean, like I'm just thinking, like if you're like, how do you get that head ready to be able to actually travel?
The big thing for getting it ready is you don't want that head leaking all over. So we bring it back. So we do European. Yeah. So if you're gonna do a Cape, you're probably gonna need to go through an expediter, goes through a taxidermist and everything. Kind of gets more complicated. We do a European. So you got the whole head, and then a couple things you need to do. You got to tape up all the points. Yeah. So we're bringing duct tape with us, and get a hold of some cardboard. Put cardboard on all the points.
We've been talking about doing pool noodles too. In the future, that would be the ticket.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things.
But I mean, you know, on a moose, you got like that big flat paddle, and then so
we just go on the points.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And then you want to scoop all the brains out of it, and then you wrap the head with like some heavy duty contractor plastic bags.
Yep.
And when you do that, then you want to tape it all down, but you got to make sure you get those brains out. Otherwise,
you're talking about those black trash bags, or
black
trash bags. I know those bags.
Yeah, put it over the head. Get a few of them, 2-3 of them over the top. The big, thick, heavy metal plastic ones, and then tape all that down. You want to try and prevent it from leaking.
Yeah,
on
tape around
baggage.
The base of the antlers is a big thing. You get that bag up and tape around the base of the antlers, seal it up completely.
Yeah, so and then you just bring it home. So it's. It's not the biggest deal in the world. There are expediters that you could Google. We've only used one once, so I don't really have a recommendation there. It's the simplest way just to bring them straight home with you, and then get them bugged or whatever you want to do with them.
What do you guys do?
We tried a new process this year, actually. So, yeah, we saw it from some friends of ours, and Stuck in the Rut. And they had learned it from a local guide up there, where you actually steam the head, and it's a really cool process. I got to see it and try it out. I don't really recommend it for elk and deer. It's easier just to boil those things. You can do an elk and a couple of deer at the same time. You could do 2 elk, or if you just have 1 elk, just boil it. It's not necessary. But with moose, the way that the horns come off, you can't just boil the head, because it'll sit down in the water. You'll destroy the horns, everything else, you won't boil the top of the head.
Well, you would need a tub because of the way that the antlers, not horns.
Yeah.
The way that the antlers come off to the side. Yeah. There's no way that you'd be able to like fully submerge that thing.
Yeah. So we saw how they got to do it, and I tried it out this year. There's a little bit of a learning curve figuring out everything, but it was a steaming process. Okay. So it was pretty awesome.
They have a good video on how to do it.
Yeah. You were telling me about the process because when you were doing that, I was busy boiling my deer from this past year, and I was like, I gotta boil heads, and you're like, I'm steaming them. I'm like,
yeah. What?
What are you talking about? What do you mean steaming the heads?
It was revolutionary for us to see it, because before we have to beetle them, and we don't have beetles, and it costs
$400 to get a head beetle.
I got beetles. Yeah. I told you I'd throw some beetles your way.
Yeah, I don't need that in my life. The steaming process, it took me like an hour per bowl. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, so I wanted to can we talk a little bit more about the meat donation situation?
Sure.
About so you guys, because it's not just because I think we've covered the vast majority of things when it comes to here. Now we're home and we're happy. That's essentially what's happening. Now let's talk about what we can pull from this experience. Because you guys, let's say somebody they've gone moose hunting, and it's not just an experience for their own gratification. Let's try and figure out okay, so how can this experience make you a better person, and how can this experience help you to then pass things on? One way that I see that as a hunter is definitely donating the meat.
It's easiest to donate in Alaska. They have such a system for it already. Other states are harder. We go through, we figure out making sure our freezers are full, and then we start giving stuff away after that. But yeah, no, I mean, we donate a lot of meat. I like to keep a lot of stuff local. I think God has blessed us in that way, and that there's a lot of needs. Like we were talking about, there's global needs, but there's so many local needs, so many single mothers. Men have walked out or whatever, and they have kids, and their kids don't have meat. Our local schools, so we're really involved in my wife has been really involved in the local school in the past. And there's all these kids that literally the school sends food home with them over the weekend to make sure that they have food. And it's one of those like unknown epidemics that's within our country. And so there's all this opportunity, but here's one thing I do think, Joshua, is that there's no answer that we could give that would please most people that are throwing those things at us. Because they want to find fault is what they're looking for. Maybe it's jealousy, whatever it is. But the thing that we have to be centered on is we have a true and passionate love for hunting, and we have a real passion for people. That's why we do what we're doing at Limitless Outdoors. Like, we truly care for people's souls. And we want to minister to not only their souls, but their physical bodies as well. And God's given, it's like a byproduct. It's an awesome byproduct of the ministry where we're getting to harvest these animals. Our families are fed, and the byproduct is we're able to help feed some other people as well and be a blessing to other people. And so that's, at a certain point, you have to have a rudder. As a man, you have to have a rudder within yourself and understand who you are, what God's called you to do, and to embrace it and walk in it the best you possibly can. And people are going to have all sorts of opinions about that. But we do it the best we can. When it comes to it, just kind of something that Joshua had said a little bit earlier about just taking the steps to put one foot right in front of the other. Start with the air taxi, start planning, actually pull the trigger on it, because nothing's going to happen if you don't pull the trigger on it. And I know Colton said it a handful of times over the course of this series, like, life is short and you don't know what tomorrow is bringing. And don't put it off till tomorrow. Don't put it off till next year. Start planning, even if you are planning for a couple of years out, but actually start taking those steps and plan it, because God has an incredible world out there, and it is an incredible blessing, not just for you, but for everybody that's involved in it. Just really want to encourage you to get out there and get after it. And we hope that this will be an awesome resource for you to do that. Until next time, my friends, God bless you all. And remember, it doesn't matter what you've done. It only matters what you do now.